Good morning everybody, we're here in Edenvale today and we're installing an 8 kilowatt Deye inverter, and we're pairing it with two strings of panels. One string will be 7 panels and one other one will be 5, and the panels is 590 watt Trina panels, bifacial as well, and then we'll be installing a 14.34 kilowatt stage 4 Volta battery. Yeah, let me show you. As you can see behind me, the guys are already opening the roof. This roof is slightly northeast facing, and then we'll be putting the other 7 panels slightly northwest. Yeah, let me show you what's happening in the garage. But we're just starting with the combiner box. We're also going to put 2 geyser timers for the customer so we can make sure we spread the load during the day. And then, yeah, so here's the Volta battery. We use the Volta battery today because the Dyna is 14.34 kilowatts out of stock. So this is exactly the same size battery. It's just a different brand. So it's a couple grand more than Dyna's batteries. But, you know, I couldn't predict the Dyna was going to run out of stock at the moment. So obviously I took the knock to upgrade the customer to the Volta battery as well. There's the 8 kilowatt Deye inverter we're going to mount. And the customer had these type of shelves over here. So we just took them off, so we're going to cut them over there and just move those 2 brackets to the left, and then we're going to work in this space where Ford's busy at the moment. So it's quite nice. The AC main DB is right next to us, and there is a sub DB, but we're not going to split the loads on there. We're just going to put a timer on the geyser on the sub DB. Yeah. So we'll be mounting in this space over here, and we'll let you look. So we are going to mount the battery to the left or to the right slightly because the customer is thinking of putting another battery at some point. But yeah, let me show you a little bit later what it looks like. Okay, I want to show you guys the DC DB before we put it on. So I'm still using my trusted little labeler there. And yeah, so we're putting 2 strings. So you'll have a surge protection, your 2 fuses, and your DC isolator. So basically this breaker is rated at 20 amps because the strings, your panels normally run at about, depending on the panel, but about between 12 and 14 amps these days. So 20 amps, and then you've got a 25 amp fuses, and then of course we've got our surge protection as well, and that's going to be our second strings switch gear, which is exactly the same as the first string. Yeah, so just basically put it in, labeled it, and then we need to wire it and put it against the wall. It's about 10 o'clock at the moment, so this is the northeast facing roof. So we've got the roof hooks mounted, installed already, and then we've got the rails mounted. So next thing we'll lift the panels on this side and then obviously attach them to the rails. This is a northwest roof, so as you can see we've mounted 7 of the 590 watt bifacial Trina panels over here. We're just going to trim the rail over there, and yeah, then we're done on this side, and then we can start doing the cabling and earth spike as well. Alright, just a quick update inside the garage. So we've already cut this bottom shelf over here and remounted it. We've already cut that one as well. We're just leaving space for the cabling a little bit easier, and then we'll remount it there afterwards. So I've got our DC combiner there, which I showed earlier with the 2 strings, and we've got our cables and our earth cable coming down, and then we'll go from the DC combiner into the inverter. We've already mounted the battery. This battery isn't completely wall mounted. It is 4 brackets, but it's not very big brackets, so it sort of sits on little legs at the bottom, and then we just install 2 brackets at the top there, so it doesn't, the skirting does prohibit us to put other 2 brackets in there as well, but it's quite steady where it is. And then Ford is just busy cabling the battery up, and then via the battery disconnect, and then from there into the inverter, and Tobias is busy putting the prepaid plug. The AC combiner has already been wired into the inverter and integrated into the main DB. There is a generator changeover switch on that side as well. There we go guys, all done. So we've got the 8 kilowatt Deye inverter mounted, and we've got our AC combiner or box on the right hand side and a DC over left. So a little bit of a space we had to work with, so a little bit more unusual for mounting, and then we've got the 14.34 kilowatt Volta stage 4 battery. And yeah, so basically on the battery side we've got our cables, our communication and our earthing done, and that's going via the 250 amp battery disconnect into the inverter. DC side I did show you earlier, that's obviously coming into the inverter as well. On the AC side we've got our surge protection, ESCOM feed indicator light, and the ESCOM feed isolator, changeover switch, inverter load breaker and indicator, as well as your geyser timer. We also installed a plug for the customer for the prepaid meter to communicate more effectively. And I have just married the Wi-Fi. I think it's probably still syncing now while I'm making a video. So currently on the system we're getting about 6.1 kilowatt from the solar panels. The battery is charging at about 2 kilowatt, and the house is consuming about 4.12 kilowatt. I just put the geyser on just to do a test. So, you know, I can actually switch it off because nobody's living in the house. So I'll just switch it off now. You can actually see what's happening. And then that load should drop to about 0 because nobody's really using power. This is a new property. So yeah, on the PVs, we've got about 286 volts on the one string and 205 on the other string. And then battery is charging at the rate of 5.9 kilowatt at the moment. The home, the city clamp is set up properly. and then of course that's just a trickle from the grid. That 0.02, the 20 watt, it's a trickle charge setting. It doesn't mean that we don't have enough solar or something. It just is it's a trickle charge setup on the system. Yeah, so that's a 8 kilowatt Deye Inverter, 14.34 kilowatt hour Volta battery, and then 12 590 watt tree-up panels all installed. It's about 1 o'clock at the moment. Thanks. See you in the next one.